Like to call to order the Charter Township of Oxford Planning Commission regular meeting Thursday, October 23rd, 2025. If we could begin the meeting, everybody rise, remove your hats, and pay your attention to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item 3, noting of the roll.
Noted, there is a quorum.
Thank you very much. Number 4, approval of tonight's agenda.
Motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Number 5, conflict of interest, ex parte contact. Does anybody have anything they need to bring up or bring to the board's attention? Seeing none, we will move to number 6, approval of minutes, Planning Commission regular meeting, October 9, 2025.
Motion to approve minutes, Planning Commission regular meeting, October 9, 2025.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Number 7, public comment on items not scheduled for public hearing or on this agenda. Does anybody have anything they would like to bring up? Again, it's items not scheduled for public hearing or on tonight's agenda. Seeing none, we will move on to number 8, commissioners' comments. Does anybody have anything they need to bring up, discuss? Lively bunch tonight. Number 9, unfinished business, which we have none. Number 10, new business. PC 25-010, Aldi's number 152, preliminary site plan. Proposed construction of a 20,213 square foot Aldi grocery store parking area and associated infrastructure at 101 Market Street, parcel ID 0421151020 in the C2 zoning district. The applicant is Aldi Incorporated, 2625 North Stockbridge Road, Weberville, Michigan, 48892. And just to kind of give everybody an idea how this is going to work, we're going to take a statement from the consultants first. And they'll go through all of the information they have, a presentation. Then we will have time for the applicant to discuss. We will have a time for resident comments, even though this is not a public hearing. We will take time for resident comments. We will have a discussion and then entertain a motion. So with that, would you like to start?
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
There we go.
All right. Third time's a charm. Mateo Pasalacqua, Carlisle Warman Associates. We are the township's planning consultants. In front of you this evening, you have a preliminary site plan for an Aldi. Give me a minute here. I will get to the site plan. So as you'd stated, the applicant is proposing to construct a 20,000 square foot Aldi grocery store on approximately a 3.9 acre parcel along the south side of Market Street at the corner of M24. The site is zone C2. Retail stores up to 65,000 square feet are permitted in the C2 zone district. The site is surrounded by recreation C1 and C2 zones and uses, noting that the property to the west and to the north are vacant. The master plan future land use designates the site as contemporary mixed use, which does contemplate commercial uses on the site, along with several others. For historical context, at the May 8th public hearing, the PC voted to recommend rezoning the site from C1 to C2. At the July 9th regular township board meeting, they voted to approve that rezoning. On June 26th, the applicant conducted a pre-application meeting with the township. And on July 18th, the applicant submitted a lot split application to essentially turn the large 8-acre parcel into 2 4-acre lots. Again, the one nearest 24 is the one in conversation tonight. The one to the west is the remaining 4 acres is vacant. Nothing's proposed at that site right now. The lot split was recorded with Oakland County. So with that, as it relates to area, lot area, height, setbacks, bulk regulations, there's no issues with the placement of the property as it relates to setbacks. The building is proposed to be 26 feet tall. My apologies, in our report, there was a template error there, and it gave you incorrect information. However, confirmed today, the building's 26 feet tall, 35 is the max in C2. For natural features, the site is relatively clear of major vegetation with the exception of mature landscaping to the east end of the property. The rest of the site does have scattered mature trees on it. The site plan indicates that 75 of the existing 89 trees will be removed for the site improvements. There are no wetlands on site. The nearest body of water is the reservoir to the south associated with the golf course. Looking at access and circulation, the site access is proposed to be provided by one two-way ingress-egress drive and one egress-only drive. One driveway is permitted for commercial sites, however, the PC can grant a waiver for the second, so that's something we'll need to consider later on this evening. Using scaled measurements, the drives appear to conform to standards. However, we did note that for final site plan, we would like the dimensions, the center drive dimensions from the drives to the roads and the other proposed drives added. There's just standards based on speed limits on how far away drives need to be from each other and from intersections. Again, using a scale, it's very, very likely that they comply. We've just asked for the dimensions at final. A portion of the Market Street divider / island is proposed to be removed to accommodate left-hand turns into the site from westbound traffic on Market. The applicant had discussed a future cross connection with the vacant site to the west. Again, there is no development proposed for that lot at this time. We've simply asked for them to just indicate simply where that might go. It has some implications for the proposed parking, but again, that's really just for future reference or to flag any issues out the gate. There's nothing about that cross connection that would complicate the preliminary site plan or tonight's review. A traffic impact assessment dated September 12th of 2025 was provided in the application. The proposed use of the site, the grocery store, is expected to increase average daily trips by about 1,700. Most of the new traffic looking to access the site is expected to utilize M24, with less than 10% of the traffic looking to utilize M24. Which, my apologies, that is in our report, which is at the very end of this. But again, the graphic essentially highlighted that about 90% of the traffic would be split between north and southbound M24 traffic, with about 8% coming off of Market. The traffic impact assessment stated that no further modifications other than the median drive being removed for the left-hand turn lane needed to be made to the site. Sometimes there's intersection improvements, deceleration lanes, things of that nature, but the assessment didn't cite any other improvements other than what's shown on the plan. The site does show construction of a 5-foot wide sidewalk, although we've discussed this with the applicant. There's actually an existing safety path there, which can count towards their requirement for the safety path. It's just that any needed maintenance or repair on that path needs to be conducted with site improvements. So that will be updated on the final site plan to show the existing safety path as opposed to the new sidewalk that they've proposed. Looking at utilities and services, the project is within the township's water and sanitary service areas, and is proposing to connect to a water main via a water main along Water Street and sanitary along M24. Stormwater will be channeled to a detention pond in the southwest corner of the site with emergency spillover into the reservoir. Again, Jim will speak more to those elements of the site plan. No emergency vehicle circulation shown. However, we note that the fire department had cited some preliminary, conditional concerns, but they've been in conversation with the applicant about those prior to tonight's meeting. So there's no issue with those being addressed at final. My understanding is there's nothing about those that would change placement of the building or anything major that we're looking at this evening. For parking, parking requirements for retail establishments is based on usable square footage or employee counts. Per this, the site would be required to have 101 parking spaces. They are proposing 92 with 10 banked spaces to the west. The applicant did provide a letter kind of indicating why they're requesting this parking reduction, and just in the experience of operating, several Aldi stores. They find that typically 90 to 95 spaces are needed, which kind of informs the 92 that they're proposing. The Planning Commission can modify parking requirements based on certain criteria, one of which can be, recorded experience for similar uses, essentially saying if they've done this before and this is the number that works, they can request the waiver from the Planning Commission. So that is a waiver that you'll need to consider tonight. Obviously, if the 10 banked spaces were implemented, it would meet the standards, but again, for what they've provided, the information they've provided, the 92 they're requesting seems reasonable. The parking lot spaces and drive aisles meet standards. However, the Planning Commission will need to approve of 18-foot long spaces adjacent to curbs in the building perimeter. That's what your ordinance says, so that's what you gotta do. So it's just a formality. It's typically just to make sure that if it's a shorter space, or my apologies, that if it's a space that overhangs a walking path area or a landscaping area, that, it's long enough to not interfere with those things, but based on the sidewalks and where the landscaping is, we don't anticipate that it would. A loading dock is provided on the west side of the building. It fulfills the requirement for a loading zone. Again, by scale, it appears to more than comply with the size. We've just asked for those dimensions to be added to the final site plan. For landscaping, their general landscaping requirements have been met. The green belt requirements along M24 Market Street, the west property line and south property line have been met utilizing both existing and new plantings. Plant sizes are compliant with the ordinance standards. We did know they had a few invasive species selected for their plant types, so we made the recommendation for those to be swapped. I should preface this with landscaping is really more or less at final site plan, just in case there's anything that comes out of this evening that changes the plans. So the notes here are really just notes. We'll deal with those the next time we're back. Stone retaining walls are on the site. Again, there is a requirement that walls on commercial properties not exceed 6 feet in height. So the Planning Commission would need to consider those waivers. Those stone walls, the ones over 6 feet, if I'm not mistaken, are primarily associated with the needing to be able to build the land near the golf cart path that runs along the rear of the property and heads towards the tunnel under M24. The topography in that area kind of gets steep. So that is the area in which, if you were to waive the 6 foot height cap, that's where it would be applied. The placement of the trash enclosure is compliant. We'll get we'll get construction materials for that at final. Lighting is another element that's approved at final site plan. Again, things get moved a little bit, parking spaces go here, there, it moves light poles around, there's no point in doing a photometric. However, they did give us a photometric plan, and we just gave them pointers for what they'll need to do at final. There's some foot candles that are a little high near the building, and they are proposing 29-foot tall poles, which the Planning Commission will need to consider waiver for at final. If you're not within 200 feet of a residential district, they can be up to 30. This site is not within 200 feet of a residential district, so it's a consideration the planning can make. But again, that's a decision to make at final. For architecture, they did provide some building layouts, floor plans and exterior renderings, metal paneling, glazing, faux wood, aluminum paneling, and brick are the primary exterior construction materials. It's pretty standard for the newer franchise standards for all these. The site does offer a bike rack for parking along Market Street. I thought that was worth noting. We don't always see them voluntarily filling a bike rack, so I thought I'd mention it tonight. So that's kind of the bulk of our review. Just to kind of recap for tonight, the Planning Commission does need to consider the waiver to allow the additional egress only drive. They need to consider the proposed reduction in the required parking. And you would need to approve of the 18-foot long parking spaces adjacent to curbs in the building perimeter pedestrian pathway. And then our items to be addressed conditionally, or what we're recommending conditionally, relate to the application. In a few spots makes mention to West Market. There is no West Market, it's Market Street, so they need to fix that. The west lot line was identified as a rear lot line, it's a side lot line. The location, again, just a general location of a cross connection. Again, there's nothing to approve or deny there, we just would like to see it for future reference. They need to maintain clear view standards when they do their full landscaping at final. Distance between the drives, those dimensions need to be added. The site plan needs to be updated to reflect the existing safety path, and a note that they understand that they'll need to improve it upon construction of the site. And the loading dock dimensions need to be added. So with that in mind, that's kind of the bulk of our review. I'm happy to answer any questions if the commission has any.
I have a question. For the divider on Market Street that they're gonna modify, who actually approves and does the final inspection on that work?
So that would be Oakland County. Is that Oakland? For the removal of the median island?
Yeah, it's gonna be all Oakland County Road Commission.
Road Commission will manage that, approve that,
Their
review that.
jurisdiction.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Go ahead.
Go ahead. Mateo, the 18-foot long parking spaces adjacent to curbs, that modification, can you elaborate on that a little bit? Maybe zoom in on the area where it would be and explain that a little bit more, please?
Yeah, and I should pull up the ordinance to make sure that I'm fully seeing that waiver here. Typical by 10,
Go to the right, you see the,
these ones?
Yep.
Okay, yep. So I believe the standard depth is 20, but you can reduce down to 18 where you butt up against a curb, just because the thought process, like if it's
Okay.
nose to nose, you want the 20 feet so the cars aren't, you're not gonna hit the car in front of you, you also don't want the rear end of the car hanging into the drive aisle. So you can reduce where they're next to a curb or landscaped area by 2 feet, because the assumption is that the front chunk of the car will hang over that area. But the way your ordinance is set up is you have to waive that requirement. You need to allow those spaces to be
Okay.
18.
Do you see any issues with that, risk, safety, otherwise?
No, it's pretty common, actually, and
Okay.
I'm a little, not that I don't know your ordinance well, but other ordinances I have don't always make that reference. They allow it just by standard to be 18 feet long.
Okay, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair, I'll continue.
Yeah, go ahead.
The reduction in parking just seems to be a non-issue. Do you see any issues potentially with that?
I don't. Again, the applicant can speak more to it. If the planning commission chooses to hear from them, the information they provided based on their history running multiple Aldi sites is that
Okay.
the sweet spot's 90 to 95.
The next item, the exit drive on the east end. I'm thinking about pedestrians that are coming across that sidewalk from the east headed west. And if the driver is exiting, they're gonna be looking to their left. They're gonna be looking in this direction.
Correct.
So and then there's this boulder, these are boulders here, right? Kind of a wall.
I think I believe those are shrubs. Regardless.
Well, yeah, my concern is safety for pedestrians coming across that way. I think you mentioned a clear view standard. I don't know those standards off the top of my head, but would those clear view standards address landscape, not only trees, but a boulder wall if it was there, or a change in elevation if it were there?
Yeah, it'll help. There's a certain amount of, there's a certain amount of common sense associated with traversing these areas. But the clear view is essentially a triangle based on 25 feet tall and 25 feet long. And
Okay.
what creates the triangle is that clear view at your intersection.
Gotcha.
That's what the driver should be able to see as they're entering the intersection. So we've just put that on their radar. So like we don't have a bunch of 6-foot U's planted right up against that exit drive where they wouldn't be able to see.
So a 25-foot triangle like this?
Yeah. Not, I mean, the placement of it is associated with the right-of-way line, so further, you gotta go further up. But yeah, that's,
This way.
yep, there you go.
So I'm thinking if a car is going to exit this way and this sign is blocking someone walking on the sidewalk, right, the sign there and the boulders on this side is a concern.
Yeah,
I
it's,
don't know if the applicant could somehow address that.
I think they can speak to it. I also think that it's something that it will need to be addressed at final site plan, which is why we brought up, because that's when they'll be doing that's when they'll be doing their full landscaping.
Okay. If I go on, Corey?
Yeah, keep going.
I noticed they referred to the boulder, they called it Ridge, not Boulder Point. There was a sign on the plan, not a big deal, but might be worth updating. Regarding the signs along M24, you know, currently there's the Boulder Point, Waterstone, the large signs on either side of the entrance. And then there's the Independence Village sign, and now there will be an Aldi sign. So the question would be, per our ordinance, could the lot that's to the west, that's for sale, could they also be allowed a sign next to the Aldi sign?
Yes. So each site is allowed one monument sign or a freestanding sign. Actually, because Aldi is a corner lot, they are permitted two, one facing each frontage. But, so the Aldi lot would be permitted up to 2 monument signs, one facing each frontage, and then the vacant lot to the west could have a monument sign.
But would it have a monument sign on M24?
The lot to the west,
Yes.
they could not apply for and own a site or own a sign on Aldi's property. Aldi needs to make application for whatever signage is going to be on their property.
Okay. Is there a reason, if I don't mind, I'll
Yeah,
continue?
do all yours.
The sidewalk in front of, is I think it's 5 foot wide is proposed.
Yeah,
Is there a reason why it's not the standard width? I thought it was,
It'll be 8 feet.
I thought I saw an engineering note on that, but there's a lot of engineering notes on this, on markups. It's fine, it just was a lot to go through and in the packet to go through all those.
is it 8 feet now?
It is.
Let's see, you talked about the bike rack at the sidewalk. Seemed odd when I saw it on there. What, it's right off the sidewalk.
Okay.
Any idea why the applicant would want to put it off the sidewalk and not next to the building?
Nope, but there, I mean, again, if you want to hear from them, I'm not sure the placement of it. There's nothing in conflict with the ordinance as it relates to it.
Oh, okay, there's no conflict with an ordinance, okay. I think this is more of a question for Jim, for engineering. Should we do engineering later or
We'll do it next.
next? Okay. It's about this overflow and the spill off the spillway from the retention pond. I couldn't tell in the drawings if the power to the boulevard would be restored, the lighting when that's removed, you know, would that be reestablished? I would hope. I didn't see any notes to that effect to say reestablish power. I just see the transformer and power being removed and relocated.
As it relates to any power that's currently run through the median now.
Yeah, there's a transformer over here at power, I think, going this way.
Yeah,
And I just didn't see a note to reestablish or that, I don't know who owns that, you know, if it's, I'm just not sure how that's arranged with.
yeah, I mean, any infrastructure associated with the continual, use and safety of that median along that road has to be restored.
Okay. A few more questions, if you don't mind, Corey.
Yeah.
Okay, trees, we talked about trees, so basically all of them are gonna be removed along the sign. All those large trees that are currently in place.
So there's there's a bulk of them that are to be removed up at the.
Would you mind zooming in over there?
Yep.
Yeah, so right where this wall, this area right here.
Yeah, there is some landscaping modifications proposed through there that, again, the applicant can speak more to, but there is, There is a decent amount of landscaping meant to be modified there and kind of replaced using standards. It's my understanding that the applicant's been in conversation with the association about those about those changes, that I would rather have them speak to than myself, but from a standards perspective, what they've given us in landscaping so far complies.
Okay. The landscaping plan, the scale of the trees seemed large, much larger than, I think it calls for 3 caliper on the plan, or 2.5, when they replant new trees.
Yeah,
And yeah, if you go to that drawing, yeah, all these trees, these don't look like, I'm just wondering if for some reason they may have shown them larger, or if that's true scale when they're planted, do they look that big? Seems like it takes some time for that tree to establish that type of size.
no, I would assume that they're not to scale, that, every landscape architect kind of uses their own symbology to identify this is an evergreen, this is a deciduous, there we go, type of tree. But that really the planting size requirement tables here, that's kind of what
Right.
we just go to make sure that they're of at least the minimum standard.
I just, when I look at that plan, the plan view looking down, the size of those trees, it looks deceiving, like there's actually more than there would be. That might take 10, 15 years, I don't know, for them to establish like that, but,
Sure.
okay. Just a note, when I saw it, it seemed that they were very large to scale. On the truck well, could you zoom in on that area a little bit, where the truck well is over here? I like how they tucked that into that corner there, because any neighbors to the south of that could be, potentially shielded from noise, whatever. What I'm wondering if the applicant would consider putting a wall maybe along this line right here, as you're walking or driving on Market Street heading east, you would see the truck would be blocked partially.
That is
And
something-
there might be some benefit there. I don't know if then the dumpster that's parked there, the dumpster that's in there may not require the walls around it. It seems there might be a give and take potential there, I don't know, but the lower half of the building has brick along it.
Correct.
If they could continue that and build a wall that height, that might be
Like
very
a
aesthetically
wall?
pleasing.
Like a knee wall? or something?
Yeah, sure, probably be 4 feet. I don't know what the dimensions were on the elevations. We could take a quick look at that, but I thought if they just continued that brick across, it would have a really nice look to it and help
Yeah.
shield the truck. You wouldn't see much of that, or as much.
Yeah,
Any debris that would be blowing around in there would just get trapped in there and wouldn't likely fly out as much.
yeah, the commission is more than welcome to engage the applicant in that conversation. I would just, again, there's a give and take to it, of course. I would
Right.
just make sure you understand that there's no requirement.
I understand that.
Right.
I just, 100%.
I
Just,
encourage it.
I just thought it would be, beneficial to the community for something like that.
Sure.
That's all. Not a requirement, I understand.
Yeah.
Just a couple more, Corey, if you don't mind if I continue, Mr. Chair. The elevations, would you mind going to those drawings? There's a shadow of mechanical equipment on there, and I don't know if doesn't show a screen wall around that. And I'm not sure what the requirement would be. Yeah, as an example, the one there in the middle.
Right there?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I need to go back and double check. I don't know that we have rooftop mechanical screening requirements. I want to say that we don't. I know we have ground mechanical screening requirements. I don't know that we have rooftop, but that's something that I can look into and we can work on as it relates to final site plan. I'm guessing that that's the nature of your question, is whether or not we.
It is, yeah, it's deceiving, it's a great looking rendering, drawing, but if you actually show it what it'll look like with a mechanical unit there, it may not look so great.
Okay. Yeah, we can look into
It's
that.
a little it's just hard to really, as we look at this packet and go through all the information, to get a clear view of what this will look like, and
Sure.
seems like it'd be worth it to show that on there. But I know it's very preliminary in the design, but, I hope we have some sort of requirement for that, for screening mechanical equipment. I mean, not only for noise, right, the neighbors to the south in any area, that mechanical equipment doesn't always, do you know if we have, sound requirements for mechanical equipment like that?
We have noise standards in general, not related. I think the only equipment that we have specific standards for are generators.
Right,
But not, beyond that, these rooftop units, anything else on the site would have to conform to our noise decibel standards, which would be measured at the property line.
okay. Let's see, I think, thank you, Mr. Chair, that's all I have right now.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
I'm good for now.
Any other questions? Couple that I had, the sign, ordinance I know is 6 feet. Is the sign for Independence Village and for the golf cart or golf course, are those going to remain? Are they compliant or? And is-
Along Market Street?
No, along M24, there's that big tall stone wall and then the Boulder Point sign and then the trees behind it.
That's maybe back to a little bit of what Don was asking about.
Right.
Yeah, the modifications to the landscaping and signage along 24, I would more have the applicant speak to than myself. I do understand that it'll be modified. Whatever is there now, as it is today, is approved. But whatever modifications and whatever conversations have been had with the association about that, I would rather leave to the applicant.
Okay. Because I mean, technically those aren't their lots anymore, so what signs they would have. And you've mentioned association a couple times. Is this fall under a homeowners association or?
Well, so the structures that we're talking about, right, the sign, the brick wall or the stone wall and the guard shack and that landscaping, the mature landscaping on the south side of Market, most, if not all of it, is on this parcel's property.
Okay.
So again, the structure of how those modifications are gonna work, I would defer more to the applicant than myself. From a standards of what they're proposing, these are the only issues that we found.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't having an association dictate what happens here.
No, I mean, it was something that we wanted to discuss. We wanted to make sure that all of the ducks were in a row, and it does sound like the applicant has been proactive in those conversations, because I didn't want to put a site plan in front of you that proposed modifications that you may or may not be able to approve. But because all of these things are on the property, on this parcel's property, we looked at it from the perspective of they have the ability to modify these things, so are they modifying them within ordinance standards?
Okay. Okay. We'll bring it up to the applicant. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much the only questions I had. The other one was and probably the applicant. The existing guard shack, is there that staying going?
My
Modifying.
understanding is the one to the south. I drive by it so many times, and do I have it memorized in my head? Absolutely not. The one to the south, I believe, is being removed, but again,
Okay.
I would more lean on the applicant to discuss those details.
Okay. Okay. I think that answers all the questions.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
I've got some, to be able to access the parking lot coming down M24, you have to turn on a one-way street and go west.
Come from the north, down 24, we make the,
If you're not part of Waterstone,
right,
about the only other way to get in here is go down 24 and make the turn and go west. Now, there aren't any drawing information on this plan about this cutover to be able to make the turn without going all the way down. You've almost got to go all the way down into
All of this is being removed.
yeah, but we'd like to know what that is.
Like, it would be concrete, it would be brought down to grade concrete, and the ends of the islands where it was cut would be curb. If that's what you're asking, I'd be.
Right.
Okay.
And it would be only one vehicle wide?
I mean, yes, that would be my understanding. Dimensionally, that is what it appears to be.
Be like a turn lane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
left-hand turn lane.
Okay. Some other things that had come up in some of the reading. Do we have the property taxes all up to date?
Yes, we have
Do-
information on taxes.
Do we know who the ownership really belongs to?
Yes,
And so all those issues are taken care of, up to date.
they're taken care of from the perspective of the circumstance in hand, which is Aldi does not own the site as of yet, but they are under contract conditional to site plan approval. Aldi's, and again, it's my understanding of it, they can correct me if I'm wrong, but Aldi's does not have an interest in purchasing the site if they cannot build their store there. So the arrangements that they have and the information that they provide to the township highlights that they do have a conditional contractual interest in the property. They have not executed anything as of yet because of getting through the appropriate phases for entitlement to build. But the township attorney has kind of outlined to them that should they receive preliminary approval tonight, there's a process in place and a timeline in place for when they need to then take control of the property.
Okay. And does somebody have on their to-do list to put the fire department requirements on these drawings?
Yeah, it's actually part of your to-do list because it'll be, if you decide to move forward this evening, it would be one of the conditions of approval that they need to address the fire department's concerns. And I believe that they have had conversations with the fire department about their comments from this evening.
Well, yeah, the fire department has actually given them drawings, as I understood it, of what they want to see
Correct, like
for a
the
truck.
sample truck circulation,
Correct.
correct? Yes.
Okay.
Anything else?
I can't think of anything. Let me
Okay.
see.
Did you have something?
Yeah, I just had one. I didn't notice a turn lane, a no U-turn, or a in the medium there. If people are going east on Market Street and you wanted to do a quick U-turn, and that's a one-way turn into Aldi, is there going to be no U-turns there, and is that going to be strictly enforced?
The first one, the signage perspective of it, if a no U-turn sign was going to move there, that'd be RCOC. That'd be RCOC, we'd have to put that in, and then.
Because that's the only traffic concerns I see with that area, because ultimately you're going to have cars coming, and if there's other cars coming and head on to do the U-turn, that's the only thing, because you're going to have a one lane.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, the signage would be something that RCOC, I assume, would require. We can also kind of put it on the radar to say that it's been brought up. Enforcement.
I just see the only accidents there is that, people just saying, oh shoot, I forgot something from home. This is the easiest way, then going all the way through 24 and then going back around.
Yeah.
They just do a quick UE.
Yeah.
I should say a Michigan U-turn.
You sound,
Michigan
you sound like you've been contemplating it. It's just like, yeah, I would do that.
I mean, I've done it before,
Yeah,
so
that's
let's,
right, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we can put that on RCOC's radar.
And then also too, is there renderings of the wall in the back of how tall it's going to be, or is that more or less when they finish it? Because it didn't really specify. I didn't see at least.
Yeah, I think we had general specs for how the retaining wall would be constructed, but not, yeah. So these are general diagrams for how they'll be constructed.
And is that just boulders? I mean, more or less like Boulder Point? I mean, we're going with the boulders, or are we going with more of a retaining wall?
Our understanding is that it's boulders.
Okay.
Again, the applicant, correct me if I'm wrong, and even if we wouldn't be approving that tonight anyways, that'd be a final.
Yep. I think that's all I have that I saw that was concerning.
Okay.
I mean, Don asked quite a few of them.
Yes, we did.
One other question, and I know it's probably early in this. Where we have the left turn lane on your drawing, you have the 3 arrows. Is that enough of a slowdown or a deacceleration lane, if you will, because if you've got a line of traffic making the right off of Market and some are going straight through, somebody's turning into that turn lane, is that enough, or will more of that median need to come out of there? 'Cause if it's a quick turn into the left lane and then to make the left turn, you're gonna have people flying making that left turn going into the parking lot because they don't have time to slow down. Are we better off taking that back another 50 to 100 feet or whatever to give somebody time to pull into that lane and slow down?
Yeah, the proposed size of that cut, I guess, again, I would lean a little bit more towards the applicant to explain like where those dimensions came from, whether or not they are, I'm sure they're based on some level of information, but to kind of address your concern, I would lean more to the applicant to speak whether or not where the design, the distance, the amount that need to be cut out came from.
Okay. And then the only other concern, and I know this has nothing to do with their plan, but it should be on our radar, is the extensive abuse of golf carts already going on in Waterstone. And now it's going to be an easy drive up there, especially when your 12-year-old's driving the golf cart to go get a few things. How are we going to, that should be on our radar, that needs to stop.
Are you referring to using a golf cart to access the site?
There's already an abuse of that being used in that complex and on those sidewalks, and now when you can send your 12-year-old to go up and get groceries driving a golf cart, it's going to be a problem. I know it has nothing to do with this site, but that's a problem in general. That can we post an Oakland County Sheriff's deputy right there?
That would be one I'd probably get pulled over.
I'm sure for a nominal fee.
Did you have another
I have one
question?
last question, Mr. Chair. This here, I just point to it, it's just a little easier. That looks like it wants to be a truck well, but it's not identified as one, or not a truck well, but a place for deliveries.
Yeah, let me
Do you have any idea what the applicant might have intended for that area, or maybe they can speak to that?
Yeah, that might be a them question, but let me take a look and see if it's. Cart.
I'm thinking cart
That's
park.
what
Well,
Yeah.
no, well, I see the cart parking, there's a section for that, but that's like
Oh, you know what?
car
actually,
and truck parking, not cart parking.
I will let
for
that, I was
commercial
gonna
carts.
say, I think that's fire. I think that was one of the things that the fire
Oh,
department.
fire department
needed
would
for
require?
access, was to be able to get a truck
Okay,
into there to get around the building.
okay, that makes sense.
Or special parking when they're grocery shopping.
Yeah,
But for golf carts?
that's golf, yeah, it's golf cart parking.
Not golf carts.
It's on record.
That's a big pet peeve.
That's all, thank you.
Any other questions?
That's all for now, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hey, Corey, can I ask while he's still up, one question that deals with what you said about the
When we open it up to public comments, I'll let you ask the question.
good enough.
Okay, sir. You might want to introduce yourself. It's been a while.
Been a while. Been here more recently. Jim Sharp, Sharp Engineering, Township's engineering consultant. You should be in receipt of our document dated October 13th of 2025. As Don mentioned, when we do our reviews, we also put markups in there too, just for the applicant's information. But clearly in our letter, we basically say that it's to assist the applicant's design team with future engineering and final site plan stuff. So a lot of those comments that are in there are, again, just to assist them as they work through the process. That we have plans in front of us, so instead of starting over from scratch and hit them with a bunch of comments during the engineering, we try to give them a little bit of a jump start on that. So I'm just gonna hit a few of the key items in our report. Again, they're required to put together a preliminary grading plan, so we can make sure that this site's drained accurately and so forth, not gonna cause any major impacts. They provided that, and everything appears to be appropriate with that. As Mateo had mentioned, this property is in the township's sanitary sewer district, and there is capacity in the existing sewer system to accommodate that. They are, because I don't know if there's a basement, I'll let the applicant speak to that, but the way that it's, I don't believe it has a basement, but the design of the utilities, they put their sanitary in pretty deep below a lot of the other utilities, just underneath the floor slabs and things, so they do have a grinder pump. It'll be a private grinder pump, it will not be our responsibility, but then that pumps it up to the municipal system. So basically, it's just a private system. There is no permit required from Eagle for that. With regards to the water, minimal water improvements, there was a stub that was left when the 16-inch line on Market Street was constructed. So they'll be connecting to that. They'll be extending it to a fire hydrant that's going into the, just, I guess, in between the building and Market Street there. That will require an Eagle permit. And then they are branching off of that with their fire department connections and their domestic water services. So again, everything up to snuff on that. With regards to stormwater, again, they got their series of catch basins. Everything's draining to a detention basin that's in the southwest portion of the property. There was a stub that was left when the Waterstone development was constructed, and they are going to be connecting into that 18-inch stub. They'll have to provide calculations to make sure that the amount that they're taking from their site, that it meets a certain requirement. They can't just dump all their water, hence the reason for the detention pond, so that it slows it down going through there. But again, this site and the adjacent site to the west, those are both included in all of the original Market Street / Waterstone design plans. And so we'll make sure that all of those initial calculations are adhered to and not exceeded. Again, a bunch of stuff about soils, and we'll talk about the parking or the access points. Obviously, you got the 2 points. With regards to the turn lane, again, I'll let the applicant speak a little bit more to it, but I'm sure that the length of that has come from the road commission. The road commission doesn't want, to pull that too far back, because then people start stacking up and you start getting traffic out onto, like M24. So I didn't read through that. It's in your packet, a 90-page traffic document in there. Very little nook and cranny of it. But I believe that would probably be the reason why that turn lane is shown as it is. And keep in mind too that is a boulevard through there. So in addition to the turn lane, as you were coming west from M24, you do have 2 lanes also that will be able to pass through there. So hopefully traffic will be able to navigate that, fairly easily. And the fact that it's relatively close to M24, like I said, I know people can come zooming across from the other side. But with people making the turns, their ability to, build up a lot of speed, unless you really get on it.
Have you driven through there? Because
Maybe I'm more cautious when I do it, because I'm on the clock. I don't know.
Because that's what, a 55 or 60 zone through there?
Yeah, we talked about the parking space depth of 18 feet, which again is fairly common in a lot of communities. We require 10 by 20s, and then we allow them to be 18 feet with your approval. Some communities, they're like 9 by 16 spaces. I mean, that doesn't work out here in Oxford with all the trucks and things that we have, but if you go down to some of the communities down south, their spaces are pretty darn tight, And then with the safety path, yeah, there is an existing 8-foot wide safety path, and I don't know if there was just a miscommunication during the pre-application conference or something, but it is shown as 5 feet wide, and we made a comment in here that it does have to be a minimum of 8 feet wide through there. So again, I don't think that the applicant's gonna have any issue with that 5 feet, 8 feet, it doesn't really matter. But, based on that, we really have no objections to this preliminary site plan. Again, a lot of the markups that we had in with our submittal package back to the township was to assist the developer as they work through the process. So with that, I would take any additional questions.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, thank you. The spillway to the golf course,
Spillway to the golf course.
the Oxford Detention Pond, that's based on a 100-year event. Is that the design intent for that retention pond?
Yes. Detention is
Detention,
required.
sorry, detention,
There's a
gotcha.
difference between detention.
That's what-
Detention has an outlet, so this has an outlet pipe
Right,
that goes to it. So, yeah, so the 100-year event is what we're looking for. If it's retention, where again, it does not have an outlet, then that's back-to-back 100-year storms, but this is a
Thank you.
100-year storm, and the soils there are really good anyway, so.
is there, yeah, I'm concerned about that overflow onto a neighbor's property, regardless who it is.
There is an easement that exists across that property, and so we'll investigate that a little bit further. There's an easement also on the southeast portion that goes for the tunnel aspect of it. So we'll investigate that as we go through the process, but I'm not too worried.
That's already, yeah, it's a bad spot on that golf course already. It's already floods there the way it is.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
with heavy rains, there's always water in that area.
Yep.
And if there's an overflow, I don't even know what kind of, washout there might be from
Okay.
that.
Well, we'll make sure to address that issue.
I don't know if they could somehow make that detention basin deeper or, make it for a 500-year event, but we seem to have 500-year events at some frequency. I don't know, you probably know better than I do, but
They do seem to happen more frequently.
do you have any idea off the top of your head how many 500-year events we've had in the past 20 years?
Sure, so. I do not know.
Okay. I know we've had 2 in Sterling Heights where I work. Anyway, let's see, the grinder pump you mentioned, can you tell me a little bit more about that? I didn't see it on the plan, maybe I didn't key in on it. Is it-
Just to
is it within
east
the
side
4
of
walls of the
as it
building?
comes, just so where that little stub is, for the parking area, the fire access that we were just talking about.
That in the island there?
That's my son, you see that right there where I'm circling? So the sewage will come out of the building to here, and then this is a grinder pump. Right there, and look at that, GP, right over the top of it. So that's a grinder pump, so it's basically just, like a individual lift station or something, but basically it's their own grinder pump. They're not uncommon when, a lot of people might have them in their basements or something. If you
Right,
have a finished
right.
basement and it pumps it up.
Right,
It's
yeah.
something similar to that, and their water, the amount of water, the amount of sewage that's gonna be coming out of that building is very, very low. So, but it will be
Okay.
private, so it will not be any issue of the townships. If it fails, they have a problem with it, it's on their dime to fix and worry about, not ours.
No concerns to the community
No,
overflowing, spilling out?
no.
Okay. Okay. Are you lighting? Do you handle lighting in the engineering review?
I do not.
Yes, he does.
I do not. But you can throw it
I
out
was just
there.
kidding, if our standards are dimming to 50% after a certain time, I believe that's a requirement. I want to make sure that that's in place for the, the dark skies.
Yeah, so we review lighting at final,
Right,
and we've indicated those standards that we need to see notes on the plan relating to that.
okay. Okay, thank you, Jim.
Okay. Any,
I have a question. Any communication or provided to or from the road commission regarding putting potentially some kind of a crosswalk there at Market and M24? You're going to increase the traffic with, the folks coming in and out, and people do cross that quite a bit.
Well, there is an existing crossing.
I know there's a crossing, but maybe putting up some yield signs or something up there to. I don't-
No.
Is it actually painted? I don't remember. I'm looking at a picture right now. I don't even see crosswalk lines.
I know that, well, whether there's lines or not, that
Yeah.
I do not know off the top of my head. Obviously, you've got 2 locations right here where it's crossing.
Exactly.
But whether they're striped or not, I do
They're
not
not.
know.
They're not striped.
We can bring that up with the road commission.
Just yeah. I just want to make
They can get them striped.
address the safety issue there.
Sure.
any other questions?
I'd like to bring one more up.
Sure.
In the plan that you submitted, you've put in a number of parking spaces over and above the requirement. And you've indicated that they will be blanked, so they won't be paved, striped, or anything at this point. So 5 years down the road, business is so great that we don't have enough parking space. What is Aldi's plan to monitor that so that those get put in place if needed?
Yeah, that one. So just to clarify, you're referring to these banked spaces?
Yes,
Yeah, so just to clarify, the parking count there, actually what they're proposing right now is below your standard. You are able to waive that. If they were to implement these, it would put them one over the requirement. Neither here nor there, I think your question is if business is gangbusters, what's the process for implementing these spaces?
right.
Correct, so that would be, so from an administration standpoint, they could come to us, and if that's exactly how they were gonna implement those spaces, we could administratively approve that. It would not need to come back to planning commission. As far as what institutes that requirement, unless, I don't know that if the township waives the requirement for the required amount of parking, if we would then have a mechanism to force them to implement those spaces. But if we were to get complaints about overflow parking or issues in the parking lot, things of that nature, we would definitely engage the applicant about, you have 10 spaces that you can implement with our rubber stamp, what are you doing about it? But as far as forcing them to implement those, I don't think we would have a mechanism to utilize at that point.
Okay, so maybe we don't have a mechanism to force them to, but from Aldi's standpoint and your customer satisfaction, what's your process to say, we really need to open those up and have them come back to us?
As far as what their process is for making that determination, I'll let them speak to.
Fine, that's what I'd like to hear.
Okay, well, Corey's gotta ask them to come up. I can't tell them to come up.
Anything more engineering wise?
Any more engineering questions?
Nope.
Okay, I'll be here if you got them.
Okay, I think we are good. We will turn it over to the applicant to make their presentation or answer any questions.
Good evening. My name is Chris Jankovich with Design Engineers. And most of the proposed development has pretty well been covered. I've been taking notes as you've been asking questions. So I think I'm just going to jump right in and start to answer as many questions as I can, not necessarily in any order. So if I miss any, feel free to catch me at the end. But take a look at these. Going to start with the banked parking. And so typically when we get into commercial design, we look for an 85 to 95% occupancy rate in the parking lot at peak business hours. And that's kind of the standard for commercial overall. For Aldi, their standard is 90 to 95 parking spaces. That gets them in an 85 to 90% occupancy rate at peak business hours. So in this particular case, we're looking at constructing 92 parking spaces. That puts us at an 88% occupancy rate during our peak business hours. Just make sure we have enough parking when customers are coming in, they're not hunting around and there's no place for them to park. We want to make sure that they have a place to park. Normally we're coming to commissions who only require 50 or 60 spaces, and we're begging for 90 to 95. Here, we're saying we really don't need that excess hard surface, creating more stormwater runoff. We can leave those areas green, but we can design it into the plan, show that it's available. If it's ever needed, it can be constructed, but for our needs, we just need the 92 parking spaces. We can operate efficiently that way. I can tell you there are stores where we've had 120, 140 parking spaces. We've gone back through at remodel time and removed a lot of those spaces. It's just excess area that we don't need, creates more stormwater runoff, more heat. As far as when to build that, if a store manager sees that there's a situation where they do not have enough parking, maybe that community, they shop there more than other communities, that starts to build up, we're starting to see that we are getting into 100% occupancy, we're getting up over that 95 mark, and we need more parking. Well, we're gonna have it here in the plans, everything's already designed to accommodate it. Store manager is going to let us know, we're gonna come in, get a permit to build that parking and put that in. I don't anticipate that's going to be the situation, but if it does become the situation, that's how we're going to go about that. Coming down to the stone retaining walls, those will be boulder retaining walls, and they are both going to be less than 4 feet tall. The one closest to the cart path over here, that goes to the tunnel, that's really only gonna be about 2.5 feet tall. And then this one here along the cart path, that's got a peak height of 3.5 feet, but for the most part, it's going to be in that 2-foot range. We do have a lot of boulders on that property that are going to be removed. There's a boulder retaining wall around the existing transformer, the one at the front. So we're gonna reutilize those boulders on the site. We're gonna have to add a few more, but that way it keeps in with that same theme that Boulder Point currently has, using the boulders. We're gonna try to mimic that and provide those boulder retaining walls through those areas. On the dumpster location, as was stated, the truck well is here on the west side of the building. The dumpster is going to be located in that truck well. And that will be right here. So that's going to be screened by the building itself to both the south and the east. It won't be seen. We are proposing a 6-foot tall screen gate. That's going to use composite lumber and aluminum frame. That's going to be on that north side, so that's going to screen that. And then along the west side, we have proposed some heavy evergreen screening along this western property line as opposed to a wall, just because in this particular case, this truck well does not require a wall on the exterior, just based on how the grades are on this site. That portion of the site is much lower, and so we do not need to build that back up. And so to provide that screening, we are proposing the evergreen screening all along this west property line to help provide that. Any wall that was to go in there would be a freestanding wall. It's gonna come up above grade. My concern with that is how often it's gonna get hit by trucks as they back into that area. We also have that fire lane along the side. We're hoping our building never catches on fire, but still there is an ability that that wall could be hit and damaged. So that's why we're looking at the evergreen screening on that west property line. While I'm on landscaping, I will address your question. For the planting size, no, that's not what a 2.5-inch diameter tree is going to look like, or even a 4-inch diameter tree. What we look at when we're doing landscape design is we want to make sure we're not overcrowding the plantings. They're going to need room to grow. The idea is that they're going to be there for 20 or 30 years, maybe longer. And so we're looking down the road, what's that canopy size going to be? How big is that shrub going to get? And we're looking towards mature sizes for the trees to make sure we space them out properly. We provide enough area for them to grow, to stay healthy, and not start to overgrow into each other and kill each other off. So those planting sizes there are specifically based on looking at mature size. We're not looking at 100 years. We're looking at that 20 to 30 range. What are they going to look like? And so that's why we've set it up in such a manner to provide that proper spacing to make sure that they survive. Oh, let's see, come down the line here. With the Oakland County Road Commission, we have had several discussions with them. They have given us a preliminary approval for the turn lane and the access points on Market Street. They set the distance for that turn lane. That was a specific number provided by them, as well as the spacing from the end of the turn lane, the east end of the turn lane, to the right out only. All those dimensions were set by them. We had to adhere to that. The left turn lane itself will be paved, and it will be a little bit wider than the normal left turn lane because that boulevard's a little bit wider. So there's going to be a little bit of extra space in there. It's not going to be your standard 11 or 12-foot lane. It's actually closer to 16. So there's plenty of room for cars to get in there before they turn over. We haven't gotten into that final engineering design, and so we do not have a final approval from Oakland County. We haven't gotten into signage with no U-turns, things of that nature. If they want no U-turn signs, I am not opposed to it, but they have to approve it. If they don't want them, we can't. We'll certainly have that discussion. In regards to the tree removal up along that existing retaining wall for Boulder Point, the main issue we run into there is grading. That wall's up very high. Those trees are quite high up there. We've got to cut that area down in order to grade this site out and balance things out. Very difficult to meet the existing grade on the south property line with the tunnel, tie into the west property line, still get access to Market Street. And so we've got an area we're right in that sweet spot to make everything pull together. In order to do that, we've got to cut that hill down behind that retaining wall and bring that down towards our parking lot. So unfortunately, the amount of grading we have to do back there, we're going to be excavating underneath the drip edge. If those trees remained, they were going to die. So we're going to go ahead and take it down, we're going to do it right, and then we're going to replace that area with new landscaping, beautify that back up. Those plantings out in front of the retaining wall, all that existing landscaping, that will be allowed to remain, and then we're going to add to that and beautify that area as well. In regards to the bike rack location, we have two standard locations we look at. One up by the building along the sidewalks next to the building, and then out towards the street near the public sidewalks. In this particular case, we went with the one on the street next to the public sidewalk simply because there's not a location next to the building on this site that we can put a bike rack and still have ADA compliance around it so that disabled people can get around that bike rack and get around those bikes. And this site is rather narrow when you look at the north-south dimension. And so we're running out of space. We can't add to the sidewalk there. And it just became the most logical place was to put it out there in the front and have access to it at that point. We've done that at quite a few stores when we run into a similar situation. As was discussed, on the east side of the building, next to the cart enclosure, yes, that is going to be a fire lane. That was mandated by the fire department to ensure that we met their requirements for reach around the building. And it will be signed for no parking, and there are also pavement markings stating that there's no parking along there. It's simply going to be a fire lane. Let's see, we covered the right turn queue length. The boulevard power, so there is an existing transformer on the site. That transformer does provide power to some of the lighting for the landscaping, that Boulder Point retaining wall. I'm not 100% sure personally how much of that goes out into the boulevard, but that's all something that has got to be redone as we get into final engineering. The electrical engineer, the site electrical engineer will look at that and determine what's got to come out, what's got to go in, and how that's got to be treated. But the existing transformer on the site that's right in the middle of our parking lot, it's got to go. We're going to relocate that. In regards to the fire department review comments, we did have several discussions with the fire department early on. We had actually put together a turning template drawing when we went through the early design phases, provided that to the fire department. They reviewed it, they were okay with it. We did not include it in this set because they had already given us the okay, didn't realize we had to do that, but we can certainly add that back in. But we've already cleared that through them, and we've designed the parking lot to allow their fire trucks to go all the way around. They can have a little racetrack out. The other comment they asked about was the FDC location. Here, we're actually doing a remote FDC. We're providing a fire lane here. The fire hydrant is in this location, and then the FDC location will be 10 feet away. It will be a remote FDC, so it won't be mounted on the building. It'll be out in the island. We'll certainly work with Sharp on the overflow from the detention basin. I do want to point out that if you look at the existing grading on this site, 2/3, maybe a little bit more of this site naturally drain into the golf course. So every time it rains, all that water is going into the golf course now. So we're now going to collect that. We're gonna take probably 80% of the drainage that's currently going there. We're gonna put that into the detention basin, which has excellent sand. It's going to infiltrate, it's gonna go down, and we're gonna hold that in there. So I don't anticipate in my lifetime seeing the overflow on this particular basin utilized, but we have to put them in there. And sure, it is possible. We have had some heavy storms, but I don't anticipate it being an issue myself. We will have an initial overflow that goes into the control structure and out to Market Street before it even reaches that secondary overflow spillway. But again, we'll continue to work with Sharp Engineering on that. Let's see, I think I covered all the questions. Again, feel free to shout them out at me if I did not. I do want to take a minute while we're here and just go over the building itself and give you a little bit better idea on what we're doing there. So with this, this northeast corner of the building, that will be the entry vestibule. And then just to the left of that, we do have a cart enclosure. And so there will be no cart storage in the parking lot. All the carts will be stored in the cart enclosure, and they all utilize Aldi's quarter deposit system. If you haven't seen that before, you have to put a quarter into the shopping cart in order to get it released from the others, so that when you're all done shopping, you take your cart back, you get your quarter back. And works very well. You do not see carts in the parking lot, because if one's left, somebody's gonna grab it, save themselves a quarter, get a free quarter when they're done. Kids walking by, they're gonna jump in there and get that free quarter. So it keeps all the carts out of the parking lot. With the building exterior, this is the actually newest modern design of Aldi. And we have some material samples here for you. As you look at this dark gray area along the bottom, that's going to be the base of the building. So that is this material here. That is a spec brick. It's a masonry veneer. And then across the top of that is going to be that sandstone cap that runs along the entire exterior of the building. We then jump up to the main wall where that gray area is shown. That's an insulated metal panel. That is this material here. It's got a granite gray finish on it. These insulated metal panels, very low maintenance. They raise the R factor up really high. And we're at a point now where we're reducing our energy consumption significantly by utilizing this new design. These tan areas here, that is an extruded aluminum panel, and that is this piece here. And so that's what really gives you the depth of the building. That is mounted in front of that metal panel. And so that comes outward. It gives you that depth, it gives you that relief, but you can still see the metal panel beyond it because you're going to have that space, that little air gap in between each of those strips. So it just really adds some life to the building, dresses up that exterior. The entry vestibule, up above, we call this the tower. That tower's also got an aluminum panel, an insulated aluminum panel that is shown here in the bright silver. So if you have any interest in passing that around, feel free. As we look at the exterior itself, again, I've talked about this entry vestibule. That will be an all glass vestibule. Glass doors on the north side facing Market Street. Glass here on the east side facing M24. We do have windows both on the inside and the outside of the cart enclosure. Also that natural light into the building. this top view here, this is going to be the north view, this is going to face Market Street. We have some clear story windows up here as well. This would be the south side of the building, minimum windows, that's gonna be facing the golf course. We just want that building to be able to be hit without light damage. Here is the M24 facade, so it's gonna be facing off towards the east. And then this is the west side that's gonna face over towards the detention basin and adjacent property. We do have two wall signs, one above each side of the entry vestibule, facing Market Street, facing N24. And with that, did I miss any questions or anything we need to cover?
We'll start down here. Any questions?
Nope. Maybe one quick question, just for edification. Have you ever run into a situation where you needed to add more parking into one of your Aldis?
We have not.
Okay.
We have not.
How many Aldi stores are out there?
In the state of Michigan, well over 100.
Okay.
Getting into the
Fair
120,
enough.
130 range.
Thanks.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, go ahead.
So for the trees that you're planting, have you given consideration to the root system and the adjacent safety path over time?
We do.
Okay.
Yes, we do look at that. That's a spot where, we try to avoid certain maple trees, things of that nature that are going to cause an issue over time. I believe most of what we have up on that front, we have some black gum up in there and things that are not going to create that situation.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, curious, would you be able to answer the questions about the request for a deviation in the number of drives, the additional exit? Is that in your realm or?
Yes, certainly can. So, two things we're looking at here. One is fire access, and two is customer safety. And as we looked at the ability to maneuver the fire trucks through this parking lot into these separate fire lanes on either side, we felt it was necessary to have that secondary access. It just provides a much simpler loop. We've designed that loop that you could run a ladder truck all the way around, but we've also got that secondary access. So if you brought emergency vehicles up into the front of the store, you can easily exit out that east side and not get into a conflict with other cars. The other thing we look at is customer safety. Your main prerogative when you are at the grocery store, you get your groceries, come out to your car, you're loading them into your truck, into your trunk, or into your truck, either way. But we like to provide that little extra buffer there and try to keep the vehicles going away from the parking spaces as opposed to through them. And so by having that second means of egress, cars can leave, they can get closer to that M24 access, they can go out that east side. They're not cutting back through the parking lot. If they park on the east side, they don't have to come back through to the west side. And it just gives us a little less traffic through the parking lot. A little more room for people to load their groceries into the trunk.
Will you be putting stop signs on the egress?
Yes, we do have stop signs proposed at each.
Okay, thanks.
In regards to, you had asked about that retaining wall that is up at the right out only. With that is an existing boulder wall. We're actually going to shorten that up by about 40%, and then we're going to take the height down a little bit too so that we can blend that in. So that boulder section there, it's not going to exceed 3 feet of height once we've modified it.
Okay.
And then the landscaping there is all just low landscaping, so there is clear vision through that area.
What are your thoughts about the entry exit and the position of the monument sign with the sidewalk, with pedestrians going down that sidewalk, traveling, say, to the west? And
So
if someone's exiting, as you're exiting, you're looking to the left, you're looking at oncoming traffic.
you're exiting to the left, yes.
That
And
monument sign
so
would-
if we put the monument sign on the other side of the drive aisle, now you have a different situation where you could be screening an oncoming car. We can look at trying to move that around a little bit. Unfortunately, there is a setback requirement that pushes us back away from the street. We are outside of the 25-foot triangle that is required for the exit. But I'll take a look at that, see if we can move that a little further over to the east, just to open up that view a little more.
Thank you.
Corey, just a quick point of clarification. Signage is administratively approved by the township, so if this site plan were to be approved this evening, the signage displayed on here is not approved because of that. If that-
Understood.
So they can put it on here wherever they want, in conformance, out of conformance. It doesn't mean that you've said yes to it. It's really just informational at this point.
I'm just trying to bring up what a potential state, because if I'm bike riding or jogging, I'll see cars, they're always looking to the left because of oncoming traffic. They're not looking in this other direction necessarily. And
No, I just wanted you to be comfortable with the fact that if you were to vote yes tonight, where that monument sign is shown is not a hard and
Okay.
fast. Like we can work with them on making something work within ordinance and safety standards.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Corey.
I have another question. So, I have some concerns around the exiting, the egress here. But I'm just concerned with people turning left to go west into Waterstone and people coming down the street to make a left into the Aldi store, and how that traffic will work itself out, right? It reminds me if you go down by your other Aldi store in Auburn Hills, where there's a Costco across the street, and right now there's a light there that helps administrate some of that traffic. Right, I don't think there'll be a light here, right? So with people lined up turning left in, how does this traffic move? You know what I mean? And how that's all gonna flow. Just something to bring up with maybe the road commission, 'cause I think it's probably in their purview, but that's one of the things I was looking at. I'm not certain that you can answer that question, but
Well, I mean, we look at it as a, standard stop sign intersection where the people exiting the driveway do not have the right of way, those turning left in do have the right of way. It's really one of the main keys we have to look at in this particular situation is traffic patterns. The amount of traffic turning left, as determined by the traffic study, was found to be less than 7% of the customers are going to turn left out of this store. 94% of the traffic is gonna go back towards M24. And so what you're looking at is those people that are turning left are going to be the residents in that subdivision that understand that they're turning onto a boulevard. They're not new to the area. They know full well that they are turning onto a boulevard and they have to go across that left turn lane. And so we look at it from that standpoint that their understanding is going to be a significant help in that situation. But at the same time, having the stop sign there and understanding that they do not have the right of way, that the left turn lane does, we would hope common sense would take over.
yeah, I understand. It's to
But
his earlier point, the way that people drive down that road, right? So you got people coming westbound on Market Street. Maybe they're following the speed limit, maybe they're not.
They're not.
And then, you got people turning left out and people turning left in, right? Being a resident of the area, we're familiar with this intersection as it is, right? So traffic is always a big thing when we're talking about anything in the township. This is no exception to that. So I'm just asking for that further consideration because there's going to be a high volume of traffic there. Whether they're all going to Aldi or not is debatable, right? But when there is, and there's people trying to turn left out of that parking lot, people trying to turn left into it, and people driving past, I'm just saying it could be a bottleneck there that could create issues. And being that it's adjacent to a residential area, I'd hate to see, traffic accidents now on Market Street on a more regular basis, right?
Could put a roundabout in. Sorry.
Are we allowed to propose a roundabout as part of our conditional approval? But I just want to bring it to your attention, right? It's something that I'd like to at least see somebody address, and if you're talking with the road commission, then maybe bring it up for us, because that's something that I think everybody shares with some consideration there. Traffic is going to be a big concern with the residents that are adjacent to that store, so, thank you.
Any more questions down here? The only one that I had, that I kind of asked earlier, and I think you already answered, but That big long retaining wall that says Boulder Point and that guard shack, I'm assuming with all the grade, that's gonna come down because it's gotten really unsightly and terrible
Well,
looking.
Our current proposal is to leave the wall in place. Yeah, Adam's been working with the association, so I'll let him take over.
Okay.
Good evening, Adam Stoyer, Versa Real Estate, representing the developer for this. Good to see you again. With regards to the gatehouse, we are in negotiations with the homeowners association to remove the gatehouse. The wall will stay, and the signage on the wall for Boulder Point and Waterstone will also stay. The Independence Village sign, that might have to be relocated. I have not seen an agreement for that. So that might be relocated because we are gonna put an Aldi's sign along M24. And then with regards to parking, I can just speak anecdotally, working with Aldi. They are a very efficient company, know their data analytics. They push us for that 90 to 95 in every development we do. So they know, and part of it is they only have about 12 to 13 employees per store. So they're really in tune with their customer base and their traffic patterns.
Okay. I guess my kind of follow up to that is, I guess, why would you want to leave that guardhouse? I mean, it really doesn't go, and it's really gotten run down and looks terrible.
We don't want to leave it. We want to improve the visibility, and I believe there's enthusiasm from the owners association to have it removed. It's becoming a pain in the neck to maintain. I've been working with the president of the homeowners association on that.
Does that fall under an association or?
They maintain that, yes.
Okay. It's,
No, I wanted to answer your question, sir.
Yes, and to my knowledge, it is maintained by the homeowners association, part of the master declaration.
okay. Okay. Okay.
Any other questions?
Just one last question, Corey. The signage and all that, it just seems, there's a lot going on there with the Boulder Point, the Independence Village and all that. Was within your discussions with the homeowners association, was there discussion about potentially pushing the entryway to say Waterstone back?
The
Back, say,
Waterstone
to the west? Since this is all zone C2,
Yes.
and across the street is C1, I believe right now, or mixed use, I don't know what the exact zoning is of that area to the north.
The zoning either.
But that, when you enter Waterstone now, you see all the signage for everything other than, it doesn't feel like you're entering a residential neighborhood until you get past the golf course. Was there discussions about moving that signage past about where the golf course entrance would be?
I don't believe there's.
And refresh the whole
enthusiasm
thing.
From the homeowners association, that's pretty well documented. I don't think we
Okay.
can move that. And I can't speak for the residents. I would imagine they like the signage identification. And I do want to bring up an earlier point on our monument sign for the remaining parcel. When that is developed, we will attempt to go for a variance, but we will have an agreement to split the one monument sign between the two uses. So that has to be accounted for. But the sign size will not change.
Okay, thank you.
One other question, Mr. Chair. So I've heard rumors that guardhouse structure may be rotted and not usable for much longer anyway. So is that in consideration for why you're tearing it down?
We were approached by the homeowners association about, assisting in that, and to improve the visibility of the store, we were in favor of working with them with it. So I'm not familiar with the actual conditions of the gatehouse or guard shack or whatever it's referred to.
Okay, I was just asking because I was considering the possible, because the maintenance was one of the items brought up, so I just wondered if it was, in disrepair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any last questions?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
Thank you, Phil.
All right. And then, since this is not a public hearing, we can still open it up for comments, but,
Yeah, they make comments to the chair.
okay.
There's no discussion back and forth with the applicant or the consultants.
Okay. All right, so we will move into, some residential comments. Again, this is not a public hearing, so it's not a requirement. The guidelines are you'll get 3 minutes, come up, state your name, what you want to talk about. Your comments are directed towards the chair. It's not a two-way discussion. We're just here to hear what you have to say. There'll be no discussion with the applicant. And then when your 3 minutes are up, we'll move on to the next person. Each person will speak once. If you have something to bring up again that somebody else has not already brought up, you can come up once everybody else is done. One thing I do ask is if somebody's already talked for 3 minutes about the same thing you're going to talk about, save that time for somebody who's going to bring up another topic so we're not hearing the same over and over and over again. So with that, I will open it up and I will set this for 3 minutes. And when the buzzer goes off that 3 minutes is up, that is not a continuation for another 3 minutes. Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, my name is Brian Pensack. I live in 475 Franklin Lake Circle in Waterstone, and I'm also on the executive board for the Waterstone Master Association, so that's why I was trying to answer some earlier questions. A couple of comments I did want to reiterate, or a statement I wanted to make, is I agree with, and I think it was Mark bringing up the turning from the left hand on the boulevard into it with traffic going left out in that western entrance. I really think that needs to be evaluated. I think it will cause a traffic problem. The other question that I wanted to, and so you stole my thunder on that one, because that was one of the ones I was going to bring up. The other question I did, or the other comment I wanted to make, somebody, I think Don brought it up about the mechanicals and the noise, noise coming from those. The comment made was that there isn't any noise except for generators. Are there generators in this, for this facility? I would assume for refrigerant and stuff like that, there is some type of backup or generators, and just want to make sure that those would be underneath the decibel limits as well. And then the one other comment I had, the parking. I do believe we need to understand during the winter, there's always a problem with removal of snow. And where will that snow be moved? Is it just to the west side there? And if not, in other places that I've been involved with, they always account for 10 to 15% less parking during the winter because of snow removal. And I wanted to know if that was brought up too. In my last minute here, Mark, do you have any more questions on the guardhouse? Do you understand? We have spoken to them, and the idea is that guardhouse would be removed.
Mr. Chair, can I answer that?
I don't want to set a precedence of answering.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
go ahead.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi there. My name is Michelle Culver. I am also a Waterstone resident. One of the concerns that I have, which was partly addressed in conversation, is crosswalks between, printed crosswalks on the pavement for the egress areas. We ride our bikes often through the loop. He mentioned there would be stop signs only, and there was some discussion about a crosswalk at Lapeer Road, but if there could be painted crosswalks so that people who are exiting the store going either direction back to Lapeer Road or into the neighborhood are watching for cross traffic from pedestrians and bikers and kids and golf carts and whatever else, that would be great if that could be considered. I too am concerned about the exiting left. While I want to be able to exit left to go home instead of going all the way around, I see that being a potential jam spot. And maybe some further study on like what happens when a big golf outing is, finished and it's everybody in the neighborhood going home. I don't know how you compare that. And then the other question I had is about the 90-10 percentage, and I don't know if anybody knows the answer to it. How was it determined that only 10% of the Aldi traffic was gonna end up coming back to the neighborhood versus 90% going the other way? Does anybody know? Oh, you don't answer questions. But, so that's an open question. And then the last one is whether or not road commission will consider a left turn off northbound Lapeer Road, where there isn't one today. Okay, so that's not in the cards. So if you're coming northbound and you want to come to Aldi, you have to go up past McDonald's and make the loop without any sort of traffic control up there. So for consideration, that seems like it might be a nightmare too. That's all.
Thank you.
Actually, I don't need that much. My name is Jim Spencer, I live in the complex there, like, it's been brought up a lot, this left turn. It looks like to me from your drawing, you've got that inlet on the west side is gonna be two paths, one going out, one coming in. The left turn is a very concern to me because you're gonna have that whole open, I guess it's median call where the black arrows are, the left turn lane. In a busy time of the day, if any one of you have gone to Costco, got gas, came around, came back and had to make a left turn, good luck. Because during the heavy time, you can't get through there without being like playing Frogger, trying to get through without getting hit. Not only in the eastbound traffic, in the middle lane where the other traffic's trying to turn, that is a really bad thing. Now, people have been criticizing. I was always taught, use constructive criticism. For me to solve that problem, take the right part of that open turn lane and make it into a Michigan left, just for one car to go through. Extend down just a little bit. For the people coming westbound, you got two lanes. I've seen many roads. Baldwin's one, Sachamewell's another, where people turn into complexes. They get in the left lane, they can do that turn. People don't want to, go around. You can do the same thing on the Market Street going west, and then have the left turn lane start later, so people turn, they just turn and come in. You don't have to worry about oncoming traffic coming this way and you trying to go that way. The 10%, I'm not so sure about that either. It seems too low to me. There are 13 complexes in Waterstone alone. People who live across from Seymour Lake, can't think of the name of the complex, but there's a whole bunch of other people there. When they get interested in this store, and they want to come through, you think they're going to go through all the way through town, come all the way down, turn around and come just to get to Aldi? No. They're going to cut across Waterstone Road to cut down into Market Street to get to the store they want. And they're going to go back that way. That's left turn. So that's, hopefully the board looks at that as a possible solution. Will it cost a little bit more? Yeah, but it solves a major problem, major accident and injuries at that intersection. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mary Ann Keynes. I'm a Stony Lake Village condo resident here in the Waterstone community. I just wanted to bring up 4 points, if I could, please. As Jim just mentioned, there's currently 13 communities as part of the Waterstone community. And we would assume that Aldi would be the 14th, and that they would be also participating in due payment and a voting representative on the master board. However, I haven't seen any documents that are portraying that to be true, and that needs to be documented. So I just wanted to bring that up as well. I was hoping that the exterior of Aldi, even though this is the new sleek Aldi store design, I was hoping that the community would take a look at something that we did with Meyer. The township had asked Meyer to make a facade that kind of blended in with the community. Since Aldi is joining a residential community, it would be nice if that facade could have a little more residential look to it. Similar to what Boulder Point has. Their building kind of looks like a larger styled home with peaked roofs. So I was hoping that maybe we could influence the facade of it to look more as a residential part of our community. Also, we talked about the infrastructure that's in that island that we're going to be cutting out for egresses. We talked about lighting, but also our sprinkler system is tied in there as well. And I would hope that the association would not bear the burden of all the sprinkler changes that would need to be made in order to keep those trees that aren't being removed, keeping those alive. And lastly, I want to talk again about the traffic flow. However, my perspective is a little different. I just had the township have a traffic survey approved, and I have not heard back yet from our supervisor Curtis on when that's going to take place. But I have asked for left turn capability at that traffic light, and so that would require a left turn lane at that particular area. We need that left turn capability to alleviate the traffic that currently goes down Stony Lake Drive. We're the only ones where you can go left to if you want to go into Meyer, if you want to travel north on Lapeer Road. And the difficulty is I'm not sure what the operating hours of Aldi will be in this particular store, but you know between 7 and 8 o'clock, Stony Lake Drive, and we can't even back out of our driveways because of the amount of traffic of folks heading to work and others taking their children to the high school and to other school facilities. And I'm afraid that sometimes it takes a light or two for just a couple of cars to get through. So that I foresee a real backup if the operating hours begin at 8 a.m. on Market Street. So that's something to consider too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Rich Rodriguez. I live on East Lake Trail with the section that connects from South Waterstone Drive to Market Street. And currently, we already see quite a bit of cut-through traffic that comes through, coming off of South Waterstone, cuts through our small street and onto Market Street, and then back the other way. So my biggest concern is the amount of increased traffic is a cut-through that this is going to represent and the safety to the children on the street. Also have many concerns that are already addressed here. Going north and making the Michigan left when you're on 24 to come back into our subdivision, that's already a major problem. And to see the amount of traffic, if I heard it correctly, there are 1,700 vehicles estimated per day, with 90% of those coming from 24. That's a lot of traffic coming in. I don't know how that's going to work. It's already a problem. And then the other mention of when you exit this building, that's going to be just a huge nightmare. Trying to take a left out of there, I do, 10%, that would be 170 vehicles a day. Trying to take a left out of Aldi's, if I understood the numbers correctly. This is just a nightmare. This is a beautiful residential neighborhood, and we're going to put a supermarket in it. It just doesn't make any sense to me at all. And I wish that the Planning Commission would reject this entire project. Thank you.
If nobody else wants to speak, is anybody else?
Hi, I'm Lori Rodriguez. I also live on East Lake Trail. I just want on record that I'm adamantly opposed to this. All these I have been from the beginning. Unfortunately, residents were not notified in a way that they could understand that this proposition was coming before the Planning Commission and the zoning was going to be changed. Had we known through the Master Association, you would have probably seen a lot more people in May when the proposal went before you. So I would vote that you would reject this. We've already gone over the traffic. I also have a concern. We have a lot of kids, I myself, walk, bike, going towards 24, and then we head towards the Legacy Center. the crosswalk there already is dangerous because you have people very quickly turning right to go west on Market Street. And now you're adding all these other cars and all this other traffic. It's a disaster waiting to happen. Somebody is gonna get very hurt, severely hurt, and I hope you would just use common sense and reject the whole proposal. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lisa Beatty with Stony Lake Village. Thank you all for thinking so hard about this. I've appreciated your thoughts on it. It's been very helpful. A couple of course, the traffic. I've been up here talking about traffic before. We're all worried about it, and I appreciate that you are too. The other thing, and I think I'm wondering if on those crosswalks, if we could even have one of those light stoppers that you can push the button and let the traffic cross. That might be helpful because there are kids, there are people riding bikes. There's a lot of things going on. Another question that I have that I don't know: who owns the trees and the boulders and all of that items that were part of the easement? It's a question I know you want to answer right now, but just a question of thought. I'm just learning how this might work. Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ed Rumses. I am a resident at 457 South Shore Drive. I'm also on the HOA board. The concerns I have about the traffic, the left turn lane seems to be a recipe for disaster. The other thought I have is the signage. You talked about signage on Pier Road, which makes sense, but why would there be signage on Market? It just seems like across the street from Market Street is a golf course, so there's nothing there that you're seeing it, and you're not seeing anything from, when you drive down onto Market Street, you'll see all these because it'll be facing Market Street, if I'm understanding that correctly. So I would ask the commission to maybe look at that signage and say, you know, do we need a sign on Market Street for all these when the front of the store is facing Market Street? That would be my comment. And again, the left turn lane is going to be a disaster from my perspective, as well as the turning from north and south Lapeer Road, especially going north, going down to that where that McDonald's turnaround is. It's already a traffic. I think Corey had mentioned down Market Street right now, it's, you know, 35, 40 mile an hour, even though it's 25, and it's going to be a recipe for disaster. So thank you for your time, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make an offer, and Corey, you brought this up, and I'd like to join forces. You talked about, you were joking a little bit about the golf carts. I personally have been trying to enforce that for my subdivision, which is like at Waterstone, like communities at Waterstone, and have been verbally and physically confronted when trying to do that. So if you can help, I would have offered to help with you and with the sheriff's department. I spoke to them several times on that, so that to strictly enforce that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. I will move on to commissioners' discussion. Who would like to start? Any last questions can be brought up? We'll start all the way down at the end.
No.
I don't have anything on it.
Nothing else?
I guess I have a couple comments. I know that left coming out on the Market from Aldi's might be a challenge, but I also noticed that, you know, when you come out of try to come out of Tractor Supply and go north on Lapeer, it really is the same situation. It's a very similar situation, except there's a lot more traffic on, obviously on Lapeer when you're trying to make traffic, because there's only really room for one car to make a left, or actually make a left into Tractor Supply if they're going north on Lapeer, and then you've got somebody trying to get out. It can be challenging sometimes, but it does work.
Right.
But you know, again, if people are careful, The other thing I would notice too is that when you're making that Michigan left as you're going north on Lapeer, and to make, to get into Market, I've also seen folks make a right on the Market, make a U-turn, and then go east on Market as well. So there'll be some way to alleviate, I hope, some of that traffic.
Yeah.
So as that works out, and on golf carts, golf carts basically are not legal to ride on the safety paths or actually anywhere within Waterstone, although people do it. Unfortunately, Boulder Point allows, I've been told, allows people to bring their own golf carts. And what we need to do is to encourage Boulder Point not to allow that anymore, because that encourages people to drive their golf carts within Waterstone to the golf course, which they should not be doing. So those are my comments on some of the traffic, and then the golf carts as well. But overall, I think it looks like a pretty good plan.
You want to add, sir?
After I've looked at all of the plan, I really don't see a solution that will improve upon what's being proposed. I am excited about seeing the boulevard section being taken out so that you can go west on Market Street, do a U turn and come back and go into Aldi's parking lot. I think that's one of the biggest factors of help that we can provide from a traffic standpoint. I live north and east of Myers. So I have used some of these different traffic patterns to try to get around different places. The alternative here, I think, goes back in history to where this property has been tried to be developed different ways at different times by different companies. And so far, I haven't seen anything that either is closer to what we have here proposed or has not been there at all. So at this point, I would say this is what we ought to go forward with.
Okay. Start down at the end.
I'm good, thank you.
All right, well, I would just like to echo his statement that I think it's a good proposal. But I would echo some of the concerns of some of the people that spoke tonight. Snow removal and how that'll be addressed, I think, is probably a good thing to understand going in as a proactive approach to what happens with snow and where it's going to be stored until it melts. And how it was determined that only 10% of the traffic will be traveling back through Waterstone. That probably needs to be looked at again. They probably already get that without an Aldi, right? So, or more. So I just wanted to echo those couple of comments from the residents.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, I don't know how you can turn on to Market and go all the way down to the intersection and make a U-turn. I think that's the left turn lane there is probably the best opportunity. I don't see Oakland County ever putting a left turn lane at Lapeer and Market. So your options are the turnaround just north, or you turn around by Tim Hortons and go back in that way. I agree the left turn coming out might be difficult, but it's like that with every store. I think we're just going to have to rely on common sense and I don't know. Looking over this, My only concern at the beginning was, I know when we talked back in May, there was talk about leaving that entire wall, the whole hill, the guard shack, everything, and I personally, I know I'm kind of in the minority, I think that whole area is unsightly and needs to be cleared and redone. So I was relieved to hear that, there's talk of just removing that guard shack and, whatever on the hill. So, I think it's a good plan, and I guess with that, we'll entertain a motion from one of the members.
All right, so I will move to approve the preliminary site plan approval for PC file number 25-010, known by the project name Aldi number 152, based on a finding that the applicant's site plan meets the requirements of section 12-10 of the zoning ordinance to be eligible for preliminary site plan approval, and conditioned upon the following being furnished to the township by applicant within 30 days of this approval: proof of a valid property interest in the project area, and proof that all property taxes are fully paid. In addition, the following must be submitted as part of the applicant's final site plan approval applications package. Number 1, applicant providing the information required to the township zoning ordinance as set forth in the reports submitted by the township consultants, the township fire department, and township administration. And 2, applicant's submittal of revised plans addressing stated deficiencies in reports submitted by township consultants, the township fire department, and township administration.
I'll second.
Okay. So we have a motion, we have a second. Any last discussion topics? Seeing none, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Wagner,
Yes.
Blankenship,
Yes.
Dur,
Yes.
Losick,
No.
Turner,
Yes.
Austin,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
motion passed.
All right. Thank you very much.
Can I work with you on the waivers?
What's that?
The waivers, can I work with you guys on the waivers?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that something we need to do a separate motion, or?
I think it more or less applies to, and the only reason I waited until afterwards is because there isn't any one waiver that would knock the site out of compliance if you didn't grant it. It would just need to be reflected on the final site plan, but for clarity, for their purposes, if we could just go through the waivers.
Okay.
And then I guess I'll outline all three, and then you guys can structure your motion if you're unanimous on all three, or if you want to do it one by one.
Okay.
So, again, you do need to grant the additional exit drive, that's to the far east of the property. There is the parking, so are you comfortable with the parking as presented? Where currently they're providing a permanent, the 92 spaces with 10 banked off to the side, and then the 18-foot long parking spaces as opposed to the 20.
Okay.
So and again, I'm not assuming that you already aren't, but if you're comfortable in omnibusing those, or if you want to do them one by one and a vote for each one, that's fine too.
I'm okay with doing all three of them.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, just a motion to grant the three waivers provided in the planning consultant, review. I think we can, Susan and I can make sure it's reflected accurately in the minutes.
Okay.
All right. Then you tell me if this works for you.
Okay.
I will make a motion to grant the three waivers as identified in the planning consultant's review.
I would say dated October 13th, 2025.
Dated October 13th, 2025.
That's okay. Susan and her technicalities.
That's okay. We'll make sure there's traceability.
I'll second.
So we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Any concerns? Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Austin,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Dur,
Yes.
Losick,
No.
Blankenship,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Okay, we will move on to number 11, Communication Committee reports, Ordinance Review Committee.
We do not have a report tonight.
Okay,
We will have one at our meeting, from our meeting in November.
okay. And on that topic, I will be out of town on the 13th if we have a meeting.
Okay.
Then I think the next meeting would be Thanksgiving.
In December.
I'm supposed to go to my in-laws, so yes, we will have a meeting.
That's live.
You think I don't live in the doghouse as it is?
It is not the first time Corey's been on camera talking about his in-laws.
Yikes.
So
I'm not the
actually,
favorite and I'm the only.
Fair enough to that point, if I may.
Sure.
Thanks. You have one meeting in November, you have one meeting in December for the holidays. We do anticipate having both of those meetings. So, as Commissioner Bailey's informed us, if you plan to be present or you don't think you'll be present, you know, life happens, we get that, but keep us in the loop, so we can plan accordingly.
Yeah, if we could, at least a week before, send a notice out if you're not gonna be around, just to make sure we have a quorum, so that we're not waiting till the last minute to cancel a meeting.
And I would even go so far as to say that if you know beforehand, let us know before, like, even before a week. If you know today you will not be at those meetings, let us know.
She just texted that she heard me.
Yeah, just
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm on the couch tonight.
That is funny.
Then it'll be a busy closeout to the year, so just keep us posted so we have an idea.
Good for him.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
That's so funny.
That is funny.
So we know we have one person watching the meetings.
Cheryl's watching.
Okay, with that, unless anybody else has anything, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.
Okay, good deal.